Barbarian is the newest and latest horror movie out on the big screen for you guys to go and check out. In this movie, we follow a young lady who hires out an Airbnb for a job interview. She stays in the town, but when things start to go a bit crazy and a bit wacky and discoveries start to happen that this isn't just an ordinary neighborhood or an ordinary house, things go dark very quickly. So I'm going to tell you guys my thoughts on Barbarian. Let me know in the comments below, what did you guys think of Barbarian? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Smash it down below. Smash that like button for me. Click subscribe. And let's get into this review of Barbarian right now.
This is perfectly natural.
Okay, so Barbarian is officially finally out where I am, so I have seen it on the big screen. Now, people have been telling me that this movie was one of the best horror movies of this year. They said it was absolutely exquisitely great, it was fun, it was, well, great, I would keep saying it, but that's what people have been telling me. And I've been saying, like, it's not out yet, it's not out. I know people have been saying it is great, so I was super, super excited. So my expectations for this movie went from here, and slowly, as everyone was telling me that this is really, really good, it was going up like this. So I had really high expectations. So I officially have seen it now. I'm going to tell you guys my honest, complete, honest opinion on this film. I'm sorry, guys, but this one just ain't it. It ain't it. I'm sorry. I don't think this is one of the best horror movies. I don't even think it's close to one of the best horror movies of the year. Unfortunately for me, I have problems with this film, and I felt like I didn't get what I expect out of a horror movie. So, for instance, there's things that I go in to a horror movie expecting to get that will make this horror movie great for me. First one is that anxiety feeling, that tension, that edge of your seat stuff where I'm scared shitless. That's one of my big critiques of a horror film. I want that feeling. That's what I go in. I go in to get that feeling. And I felt like in this film, I did not get that at all. There was one particular moment where I did get it. And it was in the first third of the movie where you see in the trailer where Bill Skarsgård's character is there and you see them in the tunnel there. That sequence there was the only time I felt like that. But unfortunately for me, the reason why I never got it for the rest of the film was because straight when that scene is happening, they cut from that scene and they go straight into this like happy scene of this guy singing in a car. For me, it took away all the tension. Everything you had built up in that first act, you just destroyed with that one editing choice. I'm sorry, it did not work for me at all. The tension was gone. I did not feel scared. And I felt like from that moment on, with this character alone, you really got a very goofy, comedic vibe. And I was starting to think, is this a comedy horror? I actually laughed more in this movie than I did than being scared and getting that anxiety feeling. Like, I laughed more in this. And it's not a comedy horror. And it's because of this section in the middle, the second act, with this particular character that kind of, I just was like, okay, now I just don't feel scared or anything. And I just felt like the way that they did it, it just kind of got repetitive. So you kind of expected it, where I was hoping to get some unexpected things. But every time they shine the light down the tunnel, you knew what was coming. And it just takes away that tension. And unfortunately, I felt like you could have been a bit more clever and maybe done it a different way where where I'm thinking, oh crap, someone's coming. Nothing comes. And it comes from a different direction or something like that and really throws me off. But that just didn't happen. So the tension wasn't there. That's a big letdown for me. I didn't really care for much of the characters. I really didn't. So, again, when I don't care for the characters, there's no real tension of, like, on the edge of my seat where I'm like, oh my god. I don't want this character to die. I want her to survive. I want him to survive. I want them to get through. But no, I just never got that. So, again, that takes away from that dynamic that you're trying to get to make me be on the edge of my seat. And unfortunately, with these characters, I just didn't feel like it was there. Which is a shame. Because I wanted to feel that. I want to feel that, and I wanted to like that aspect, but I didn't. I felt like the story doesn't add up. It just doesn't make sense. Like, I don't want to spoil the movie, so I'm not going to talk about spoilers or anything like that, but the way that this movie happens, I just feel like it's very, like, not practical, if you know what I mean. Like, I mean, it just didn't add up. Like, this person bought this house, it's in this weird neighborhood, that this house is the only thing here, and it's like, okay. And then the cops in this movie as well. I'm sorry, but the cops are absolutely... I did not like the portrayal of the cops at all. I just felt like that didn't make sense either. They just didn't care. I was just like... yeah, that just, to me, just took me out of the film. Was all that aspect, and like this underground place of a house. It's kind of like no one checked that when they were selling the house, and it's like pretty obvious. Like, it just didn't make sense. And then the actual creatures and stuff like that in here, I was kind of like, okay, it's a bit weird, isn't it? It's a bit weird, but I felt like this was going for more of the shock horror rather than the actual genuine horror. Because there is a lot of shock horror in this where you kind of like, it's gross horror where you're like, oh, like I almost was gagging and throwing up at certain scenes because I was like, that is feral, absolutely feral. But that's what it felt like. It felt like it was more along those lines rather than actually a good classic horror elements. It was more the gross side and that aspect. It looked okay, like the film. It looked okay. I thought it was fine. Don't think there was anything wrong with it. I thought some of the editing choices were a bit weird. Like, there's 3 like big cuts that cut from the tension of the moment. So there's that first one I explained. Then there's a second one that happens and it goes back to the past. And I feel like that again took away from the tension. It kind of just took it down for me as well. I didn't like that. That didn't work for me. And I felt like they had this cool idea. Like, it's a cool idea and a cool concept, but I just don't think it was executed correctly, in my opinion. And it just didn't work for me. That's me personally. And I also, one of the characters is an absolute klutz. That got repetitive, and I was kind of like, wow. So you get, something happens and like you're shaking like that, and he drops everything. I'm just kind of like, okay, this gets a bit old now. Like, have a bit of composure. It's just, and like it was so obvious too that he was going to do that because he's like hanging over like an edge and stuff like that. And I was like that. And then there's this one moment where something happens, and then the creature thingy is like, I don't know how that works, like how it's so strong and that. But hey, it is what it is. For me, it didn't personally work. I don't think it's that great personally. That's just me. I think it's below average. But let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think? I know some of you love the film, and I'm so freaking happy for you guys that you do love it. Let me know in the comments below, what did you love about the film? What made you get that feeling that I didn't get? Smash it down there. Let's get a discussion going. Smash that like button, click subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe. Peace out.